Wow, beautiful. Good day, everybody. You're welcome to Saturday class. Well, I believe we're doing very well. We've done so much. We looked at VPC, we created accounts, we created subnets, we created security groups, we created NAT gateway, internet gateway, route tables, connecting them. And yesterday we look at identity and access management. That of year two. Today we want to talk about Amazon S3. That is all about storage. It's all about storage, and we will look at it in detail. So when we say Amazon S3, what does it mean? Amazon S3, the S3 is about triple S, that stands for Simple Storage Service. And this simple storage service is the kind of storage service that AWS put forward to be able to save cost for their customers. And it's highly scalable. When we say scalable, as demands are going up, the S3 has the ability to expand according to demand. And if demand ramps down, it has the ability to shut down the capacity of its storage. That is how it works. And it's very simple and it's easy for us to use it. So, and S3 allows you to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere you are on the web. You may be in Jamaica or in Nigeria, wherever you are, maybe you're in America. S3 gives you the ability to store and retrieve data from the web. And this is a service that Amazon put together for us. And it has a very simple and flexible interface. And the ability for anyone to manage data in S3 is seamless. It's not something that is difficult, okay? Because of how seamless or flexible it is. It's the reason why lots of organizations are coming in to want to start using it. So that is on that. I think I have to mute all at this time because I'm hearing background sounds filtering in. So okay, let's move on. So that is on it. Now, S3 has some kind of features that you should be conversant with. Now we talk about S3 being redundant and durable. That's to say that S3 automatically replicates data across multiple servers and facilities to ensure durability and availability. When we say multiple servers, now we're talking about the ability for S3 to duplicate the files automatically and have them stored in multiple servers because of security, because of if peradventure anything goes wrong, you can still be able to access your data, be able to access your files and get them, your objects in the buckets and get them. So that is one beautiful thing about S3. Now, scalability and performance. S3 can handle virtually unlimited concurrent access to your data. Can you see that? With the high scalability and low latency, it is seamless, it's fast, And when we say unlimited, that's to say that it is not to say once the capacity of the data increases, the quantity of the data increases, it will not start slowing up. No, not about that. As the demand goes up, S3 can scale up. As demand comes down, S3 can scale down. So that is how it is. And it gives a kind of data privacy and security, because on S3, you can actually control your data. You can protect your data by enabling what is called encryption. Encryption, now you are changing the data language that even if it's been downloaded, somebody will not be able to read it and understand what is buried in there. So in S3, we have what is called buckets, like the way you have buckets in your houses and then you have things, being placed in. We have what is called bucket. The buckets are like containers, okay? We use these containers to store objects, the way some of you would want to put water and certain other things in buckets in your houses. That is how S3 works. We create these buckets, these containers, and then we place objects. These objects could be our files. And with S3, you have the ability to create multiple buckets and to organize them effectively. For identification process, S3 would only allow you give a unique name to all your buckets. So every bucket name on S3 is unique. If peradventure your name convention, it's actually same with what someone somewhere had done, S3 will make you understand that this name exists. Now, like we spoke about, that AWS is cascaded into regions at the high level. After the global level, the next level is the region. So with S3, you can choose the region that you want to have this data being, saved. Yeah. So when you upload data on S3, you can, use different ways. The other day we talked about, say, the AWS Management Console. That's one way for you to access the AWS services. We talked about the command line interfaces, and then we talked about the SDK, the software development kits. We talked about them the other day, and these are various ways that you can use in provisioning AWS services. And S3 is the same. You can also use what is called S3 transfer acceleration. And this transfer acceleration comes in to accelerate your data transfer by using what is called the CDN, the Content Delivery Network. So that's how it works. So these 4 ways are ways that we can use in uploading, creating S3 buckets, uploading files into the buckets, and so forth. So having said that, let's take a look at how data can be accessed at the same time retrieved. Okay, so when we say S3 REST API, this actually interacts with the S3 programmatically using the HTTP request. So with HTTP request, you can access and then retrieve data, and then also through the S3 console, which enables you to manage and download files through the web-based console like the AWS console, what we've been doing. And that's what is called the pre-signed URL. Now, this pre-signed URL enables you to, come up with time-limited URLs with a temporary access to specific buckets. So which means his time phase is time-bound. You can specify when it will work and when it will not work, and you give it that duration. Once it expires, it's off. So that is how the pre-signed URL works. So with that URL, you should be able to, at the period that is being activated, you should be able to access every content in all buckets. So that is on that. Then event notification, it helps you to get notification when specific events occur in your S3 bucket. Certain times it may be, deleting. Maybe a particular user had gone into make authorize delete, and you now being the admin, you get a message, straight message about what is happening and who is doing what. Can you see how it's organized? And it's so beautiful. So then what about the security aspect of it, and how we'll be able to protect our data? Because now on the console, one of the most important thing is for us to guarantee that we can have this data being protected, because this data are coming from people that would want us to secure their data. So how do we now secure them? So S3 now has an ability for us to encrypt, like I said. And this encryption can be server-side encryption. And this server-side encryption protects your data at rest. Then we have what is called the access controls, which is the IAM that we flogged so much on, that if you taught us yesterday, the IAM, the identity and access management, where you now start giving authorization, start creating permission for specific users, creating roles for other AWS services to use AWS service to access the content, the files, or maybe the objects you have in a particular S3 bucket. So we also have what is called the versioning and the lifecycle policies. What is versioning? Peradventure, you have a particular document being uploaded into a specific S3 bucket, and you went on to modify it and want to go and save. S3 has the ability for you to have version 1 and version 2, so to say that you can trace the differences, to say we updated this recently. This is the the recently updated version of this object. So that's that. And then the lifecycle policy, is great. It can be automated, and when you automate it, it helps to migrate, to move data from where it is down to when it will be less used, to when it will expire. Yeah, data that are frequently used, maybe daily basis, weekly basis, can be cascaded into specific buckets. And once the usage start going down, because of your automation, it may systematically move it to a specific bucket, and this will enable you to control costs, because you pay certain amount of money to AWS as you use their services to save and then protect your data. So that is on that. Okay, so when you now manage your data, you have to ensure that you have the bucket policies. Every bucket would have a kind of policy being activated, and you can use this policy to control access. That is that. Then there's what is called the cross-regional replication. And another thing that is missing here is the what do I call it? The same region replication. Now the cross-regional replication is, when you say replication is like a snapshot of what is being saved somewhere, and you are going in to duplicate it and place it somewhere. So when we say cross-regional, that is to say this file or an object that is being saved in this specific bucket should be duplicated and be saved in another bucket in a different region, maybe US, a region in the US, or maybe another region in Africa. So that is about the same region and the cross-region replication. So all these are how you protect your data. We said in the course of this class, we would be able to bring us all up to speed about cloud security at the same time, and cloud engineering, and give us the ability to have hands-on experience in cloud architecture or solution architecture. So that's what we're doing. Now, as we move further, you can see that we're integrating both the security side and the engineering side. So at the end of it, we're going to come out complete because of the kind of knowledge that is being given to us. Yeah. I systematically introduce what is called S3 transfer acceleration. Now, one challenge I believe every one of us had faced in time past is the ability for us to either upload and download objects or files, with a high speed. So this S3 transfer acceleration is what gives you the ability to increase the speed of your data transfer. And this, what will enable that is what is called the cloud front. Very recently, we celebrated the cloud front as AWS came to Nigeria and placed an edge location in Lagos. So we said, wow, this is beautiful, which means we can upload things into S3 and download things out of it with low latency. And the cloud front uses the CDN, the Content Development Network. So another thing is the requester pays. It enables requester to bear data transfer costs instead of bucket owners. Now, you have the AWS account, for instance, and you had gone in to provision, create a bucket, and you cascaded an object that you want the general public or maybe specific people that the authorization or the permission had been given to come and access, maybe download it, use it, and then read it, whatever. Instead of bearing the cost, you can configure it in a way that the cost will be on the person that is requesting the information that you have been cascaded in your S3 bucket. That is a beautiful strategy of transfer of cost. And you can also optimize the object retrieval, where you leverage in the S3 intelligent tiering or the glacial storage classes. The S3 intelligent tiering, because of the nature of the kind of data that you want to upload and the usage of it, you may be able to specify the class of storage, and this automatically would help you to move your files to the most appropriate storage by considering the cost involved. And this enables you to cut down on your cost. For the glacial storage classes, now it enables us to access objects or files that are placed in the buckets that are less frequently accessed. You keep them in that kind of storage class and you have it there, so you can pay less. So you can say level of intelligence is required for us to understand what we should do about our data, how to save them, how to access them, and where should we keep them. These are things that we ought to know, and that's the essence of this class. Yeah. We have the storage classes, like I said, and price tiering. We have the pricing factors, where which we consider the usage and the transfer and the data management operation, for us to be able to come up with a kind of cost. So you can also beforehand have an insight on how much a particular, keeping a particular object in a specific bucket can cost you over the time. And what helps you to get that done is the cost explorer. Yeah. So this is just a tiny introduction, for today's class. Like what I've planned for today was for us to have S3, the simple storage service is being introduced today, and then we call it a day. But I think we should rather go in and see how we can create some buckets and how we can upload files into them. Let's take a look at that and see what we can do. Okay, and always remember, like what we talked about, you are only required to use your what's the name? You're only required to use your IAM, sorry, your user account, not your IAM user account, not your root account, for security purposes. So that's what I have in here. That's what I have in here. Okay. So now let's get into S3. You get into the services and you see S3 and see you now get in here. Okay. So many websites uses Amazon S3 as their backbone around the world. That's what they do. And you have the kind of maximum objects you can save at a time is about 5,000 gigabytes. That is 5 terabytes. Yeah, that is 5 terabytes. But in a soup full, you can only upload just a handful, like 5 gigabytes, or else you must activate what is called the multi-path upload. If you want to upload more in a single, upload more one time, that's what you do. So this is how it is. I have some buckets here being saved and being created. You can see how it is. They are showing. So now the first thing we do is for us to go on and see how we can create buckets, put a file in the bucket, create folder, and a folder, a file, sorry, an object. Let me say a bucket can house lots of files, right? And the folder can house lots of buckets. Can you see that? So that's how the hierarchy works. So it's very simple. So you go here by clicking create object. And most times AWS want us to enter our name by considering the name convention. So I would say let's continue with what we've been using, CMX bucket. All right. You see, now we have that. And I would rather encourage you, at this phase to leave everything as the default. Just leave everything the way they are. You can disable the ACL, the access control list, and or enable it, but just leave it. Let's move down to now create the bucket. So, but now look at what is written here: block all public access, which means no public access is required. It's only you and the creator of this account is the only person that can, access the content of this bucket that we are creating. It's a policy that we are setting. Can you see another word here is the bucket versioning? Versioning is disabled. We can just leave it at that and go down to create the bucket. I'm coming up. It's like let's go up and see if a guy is missing. I told you they said the bucket with the same name already exists. So what do we do? Maybe now let's see if we can see CMX bucket 1. Go down. and we say create. And one thing I want you to understand is that S3 is a global services. It's a global service rather, but all buckets are region specific. That's why when we got in there, you saw that I had to pick the specific region. So take a look at this. Can you see where all the buckets which we have here are? They are, a kind of region. Okay. So that's one thing about the bucket. And it's very important. Let's see. Let's get into the bucket and see. Yeah, that is that. We may want to move on by, placing a file in this bucket by saying upload. All right. So let's move on to add file. So now this is what is showing in here. What are we going to take? Okay, since we say Tmex, let's look for a beautiful photograph of Tmex. And let's see. We have any beautiful photograph of Tmex that is stunning enough to dazzle the world. All right. Should we do now? Okay, let's get to the desktop and see. I think I have a passport photograph there. What's showing there? Okay, let's pick the cover of one of my books. Let's go to the professional negotiator and see. Okay, this is the 3D model one. Let's pick that and see. Let's rename. No, let's leave it. Just take 3D model one. Okay. And we're getting. What do? We save, we upload. Okay. That is that. Let's see how we can view the file. Let's close. We have this. Let's go to permission and see. What is in there for us. Okay. Let's check here. This is our folder. Let's click and see if that will enable us to view what we have in there. Come in. We want to copy the link and see how we can access it. Okay. This is object URL. Let's place it in our browser and see if we can access it. Okay, error. Why? Because this particular link does not allow public access. You can see that the code is access denied, public access denied, because we did not enable it from that edge, but we should be able to view it in a specific, in another link. Let's see this, if this would let us view it. Hold on. Come in. This is not what we place in there. No, this is not what we have in there. Let's get back. I think we copied it before. I wonder why it's not there. It's not showing. This is not it. Just hold on. Let me resolve that. We are supposed to be able to view the object which we have in our buckets. All right. Don't think anything is wrong with that. Okay, let's see. Let's see this, if this can give it to us, but I don't believe that. Certain times it's like that. Okay, we'll resolve that while we continue with what we are doing. Let's move on to something else. Let's go back to see how we would be able to create folder. Now be able to create folder. Now we now know how to upload files in our bucket. So now we want to learn how to create folder. Then we would upload file. So we will continue by, first of all, entering what we have entered here. I think in the place of, let's just see Tmex bucket. Two, we'll leave the same thing the way they are. We'll create. You see, where would this take us to? Okay, it took us to the same place we were. Let's enter it. Once you enter the particular bucket, you can click create folder. And this takes you to the particular folder. So we can now say Tmex folder. Then you leave everything the way it is. And you say folder. You have that. So that is about that. So now let's get into the folder and see. We are in the folder. We may still do the same thing by adding the file right into the folder. And remember, the bucket is already specified. So as we are adding it, it's going into the specified bucket. Let's take this IAM. Okay, now this, place it in. Close. So that is that about creating folder and object, and at the same time, placing a file in there. So we would have to take a look at certain policies for permissions, certain policies for permission. And thereafter that, we will talk about how we would be able to create a static website for with S3 rather, and how we should be able to enable versioning for all our objects stored in the buckets. And every versioning starts from the bucket level. You enable the versioning at the bucket level. Then we'll take a look at replication. How we'll be able to replicate folders or across different files or folders across or bucket across different region or same region. We'll take a look at that. So, but in this junction, we would, like I said, it's going to be a brief class. So when we come back tomorrow, we will ensure that we have all these done before we close the week. So this is just a tiny introduction of what we have done today about S3 by creating an introductory background of it, showing us how to create folder and uploading files into it. So, but we have much more to get done. S3 is pretty wide. S3 is an household name in Amazon. It's something that you will be using every day if you are really serious with it. Okay. Thank you very much. I would stop the recording right now and see the comments that is there.